Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on enhanced input logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That's it. I have been doing this for the past 4 streams, and today I'm planning to, be like completely done with it. That said, let's go to my gameplay screen, guys. I might actually move on to like a different topic as well. Okay, so let's go out of it here. Let's get those things there. There we go. Okay, now this is like a new project. I've been working on enhanced input, but yesterday I ended the stream before I could add a logic where I want to only rotate my screen when I click the right mouse button, my mouse here. Okay, so that said, let me firstly go ahead and decrease the length of my floor. And guys, if I can't talk properly right now, that is because I'm not warmed up just yet. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and get this here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a class. These are like the basic things because this is like a new project type stuff. And also, guys, I figured out why my blenders is meshes here. Like, why did I only have half mesh? Because I forgot to apply my mirroring to my actual mesh type stuff. That's let's go all the way up here. I'm going to go to choose and create a new class. Let's say I want to go ahead and create a actor class. This time I'm going to name him something like maybe a alien, or I might go with something like human. Okay, let's go with something like human. This is going to be my human class because my mesh does look kind of like a human type stuff. That said, it's adding to code. Let me go ahead and just get that down. There we go. Okay, now it's adding to project. So once that's done, let's go ahead and reload all here. Okay, it's live coding or like reloading my entire project. Okay, so 1 out of 4 complete. There we go. Okay, result succeeded. Now I'm gonna go ahead and first let's say exit this part. There we go. Okay, so I did like write this code last stream, but I don't have like a reference or anything this stream, so I'm gonna try working without a reference. Okay, let's see. So if my memory is correct, the first thing that I do gotta add is let's go to my, I don't know, like my Unreal Engine. And guys, I don't know why am I like kind of rusty right now when it comes to commentating. Okay, let's see. So firstly, since I'm gonna be working with enhanced inputs, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my content browser. Go with something like folder. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new folder called something like input. I'm gonna double click that. Now inside my inputs folder, I want to go ahead and add something like a action input. Let's go ahead and type something like action inputs. Okay, and I'm gonna name this something like IA underscore move, which is basically action input for my movement. And then I'm gonna go ahead and right click and let's say add another action input. Maybe I might just need one action input. I'm gonna go ahead and turn around using the legacy inputs. So I might go with something like input mapping context. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like IMC input mapping context underscore default. And guys, let me know the stream is lagging. There we go. Okay, basically this is gonna be where I actually set my axis mapping here. So I'm gonna double click that, get that here. Okay, let's go ahead and click the plus button here. Adding pixels, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's go ahead and click something like plus. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and call this tilde. So that is keys, this is plus. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and set this to something like IA move. Then I'm gonna go ahead and move if I click something like a W. Okay, and then I might actually go with a bunch of pluses real quick. Let's go with something like S, and then let's go with something like A and D. Okay, now here's the thing. When I click W, do I need any modifiers? I might wanna add a modifier of something like Swiss input axis value. This means I can move forward, but I'm gonna go ahead and close this here. And then let's say for my S, I'm gonna go ahead and add a modifier as well. Let's say I might wanna add my Swiss input axis modifier and also another modifier called something like negate. Negate is basically a negative value. So when I click W, I'm gonna go forwards. When I click S, I'm gonna move backwards. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add one for my A as well. Okay, here's the thing. Do I need one for my A? I might actually not need one for my A, but for my D, I am going to be adding a modifier called negate. Okay, and guys, I feel like I'm way too, my commentary right now is like awful. Let me drink some water real quick, guys. Give me a sec. Let me just go ahead and sit there. There we go. What up, guys? Let's go ahead and just drink some water real quick. Okay, let's see. So once I'm done adding my IMC defaults, I'm gonna go back to my, let's say, content drawer. Under my inputs, I'm gonna go ahead and double click my IA move and set the digital boolean to be something like a 2D vector, because I will be working with 2D vectors and not like a 1D or like not like a one-dimensional vector. And that's like pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add stuff inside of my humans as header files in my Visual Studio. So let's say I'm gonna go ahead and create a class. Let's go with like a class. I'm gonna go ahead and create a class for my input action, and I could honestly include them up here, but I'm just like declaring those functions inside my header files. I'm later on gonna go ahead and define them inside my C++ file, if that makes any sense, guys. Okay, that's it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead, my bad guys, I'm gonna go ahead and create another class for my input mapping context. There we go, and then end this with semicolon as well. Lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and add a structure for something like f input action, and F stands for structures. Let's go with something like actions. So there we go, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now here's the thing, I want my human to have like a camera and a spring arm component as well. Two ways I could do that. The first way is I could go here and add something like include. I want to include something from my game framework. Let's say I want to go ahead and include my spring arm components. This is header files. I could go ahead and do it this way, but I don't want to do it that way because I learned a new way yesterday. Instead, I'm gonna go ahead and create a class called something like spring arm components. Hold up, guys, there we go, spring arm components. Okay, ending with a semicolon, and then I'm gonna create another class called something like camera components. Okay, I did like learn this new way like yesterday when I was actually working on this part. I thought it was kind of cool, that's why I'm using it this stream as well. Okay, and that's like pretty much it. Why do I say red underline? CAMERACOMPONENT. Okay, I think it's my editor. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done with those, is there something else that I need? Maybe under my protected data members, I want to go ahead and create a few, let's say U properties. For example, first is going to be for my input mapping context. And guys, I'm doing this like without a reference. So this is like pure memory and like logic. So I'm going to go with something like input mapping context. Alright guys, there we go. Okay, now for my input mapping context, I'm gonna go ahead and create a U property. Now, I want my input mapping context I want to be able to edit it anywhere, so I'm gonna go with something like edit anywhere. Okay, and then I want my blueprint to only be able to read it, so I might go with something like blueprint read only. Okay, lastly, I want to organize it inside of a category, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a category. I think I spelled it wrong. There we go. I'm going to add a category called something like input. So my input mapping context is going to be stored inside of a category in my details panel in my Anvil engine called category. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Next up, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a U input mapping context. So my U input mapping context is going to be represented, and I did create my U input mapping context up here. It is going to be represented by, let's say, something like a default mapping. I might go with, I think this was the name, like default mappings is pointer, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like move input action. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a move input action where I'm going to go ahead and add a U property. Let's go with something like a U property. There we go, with a parentheses, where I want to, hold up guys, there we go. Okay, where I want to be able to edit it anywhere, so I'm going to go with something like edit anywhere. I want my blueprint to be able to read it, so I'm going to go with something like blueprint read only. Lastly, my category is again going to be inside my inputs section. Actually, inputs section, there we go. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a U input. I think it's called action input, right? Okay, hold up guys, let me go all the way up here. Let's go here. So it's input action. Okay, it is input action. I mean, the name actually doesn't matter. Let's go with something like U input action. What did I write up here? There we go. Okay, let's go with something like U input action. Okay, now my U input, guys, why do I keep spelling these things wrong? There we go. My U input action is going to be represented by a pointer called something like move action, because this is going to be me moving. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment, this time for my components. Okay, I will be needing, let's say, two components, one for my camera and one for my spring arm. First, I'll go with the spring arm. So for my components, I'm gonna go ahead and create a U property. And guys, we need to like always create U properties if you want to like set different components for like different objects. For example, if I did not like add another U property here, then it would like assume that I'm using the U property from like this U property. If that made any sense, guys. That's Harry Pixels. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, now for my spring arm component, I want it to be visible anywhere, so I'm gonna go with something like visible anywhere, which means it can be visible inside my level as well. And then I want it to be blueprint read only. I want my blueprint to be able to only read it. And I spelled category wrong here. Let's go with C-A-T-E-G-R-Y. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add another category for my spring arm component, which is going to be equal to something like camera. Okay, I want it to be organized inside of my camera as a section. C-A-T-E-G-R-Y. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a use spring arm component. Spring arm component. There we go. Okay, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like camera boom. There we go. Okay, and if you guys aren't like familiar with camera boom in like film industries, they do like use a camera boom where their actual camera is attached there, or if you guys don't understand that part, it's basically like a selfie stick. If that made any sense, guys. I actually, when I first started this part, I did not know what a camera boom was. I thought camera boom was just like a camera as a name. Apparently, I was wrong. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create another U property. Let's go with P-R-O-P-E-R-T-Y. There we go. Okay, this time I'm going to be having my actual camera component in here. So I'm going to go with something like visible anywhere. Let's go with something like visible anywhere. Next up, I want my actual camera components to be blueprint read only. I only want my blueprint to be able to read those. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a category. There we go, which is going to be set to camera. And that's like for pretty much it. C-A-M-E-R-A. There we go. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a U camera component, which is going to be represented by, let's say, a pointer called follow camera. The reason I did like name this follow camera is because my camera component is going to be following my spring arm component, like they're attached together. Okay, now are there any function that I might need? Let me go with something like legacy input functions. Okay, because I will be like mixing enhanced inputs with like legacy input, because apparently when I only use legacy input, my either yaw or pitch does not, like I can't get my yaw rotation and my pitch rotation to like work together. But using legacy and enhance together did like make that work. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and let's say create a void function or declare a void function called something like move. Actually, I'll go with move. Actually, not move. I might go with something like turn, because this is like for turning. My turn function requires a floating point parameter of value ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another void function called something like lookup, which requires a floating point parameter again of value ending with a semicolon. And that's like for pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and Control S to save the code. And now I'm going to move on to my C++ file. In my C++ file, I'm going to go ahead and include like a bunch of things. Let's firstly start off by including, let's say, something from my game framework. I want to include my spring arm components. So from my game framework, I want to go ahead and include the spring arm components. Says header files. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and include my camera component from my camera. So camera/camera component.h, which is camera components as header files. Once I'm done with that as well, since I will be using legacy inputs, maybe I fix my inputs to spelling first. Includes the spelling first. Since I will be using legacy inputs, I'm going to go ahead and let's say, actually not legacy, my bad guys, enhanced inputs. I'm going to go ahead and include enhanced input components. Let's go with enhanced input component.h, which is my enhanced input components as header files. And then I'm also going to be including, so there we go. Let's go with something like enhanced input subsystem. Let's go with enhanced input subsystem.h. And I don't like really know like all the functionalities that these include files or these libraries actually have, but the more I'm going to work with it, the more I'm going to like try figuring out what they actually do. For the time being, I know that if I include this stuff, it does help me like get access to my enhanced inputs. And that said, now inside my constructor, I'm going to go ahead and let's say do something. Firstly, I want to go ahead and fix my typo. I spelled enhanced wrong. E-N-H-E-N-C-E-D. There we go. This should be lowercase. There. Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create a default sub object inside of my constructor, because constructor is basically used to construct things inside of my level in my Unreal Engine. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's say, did I spell something else wrong as well? S-U-B-S-Y-S-T-E-M. This is subsystems. There we go. This is gonna be a lowercase s. Okay, that should be correct. Now I'm gonna create a default sub object for my camera boom. My camera boom is, which is basically my spring arm component, is going to be equal to the create default sub object with a pair of ankle braces. Now inside my pair of ankle braces, I gotta add my use spring arm component. Let's go with use spring arm component. Okay, so I know what default sub object I'm actually creating. In this case, I'm creating a spring arm component. Then I add a pair of parentheses, and then let's add a text. I want to call my spring arm component camera boom. Okay, perfect. And then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom towards maybe let's say something like a setup attachment. Let's go with attachment. Now, basically what the setup attachment is like I point towards the setup attachment section where I want to set up an attachment of a root component. Without my root component, I won't be able to see if I turn, rotate, scale, or like move my camera boom in general. But with the root component, I can actually see it moving type stuff. That's it. Let's end this with a semicolon. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say something like I don't know, maybe target arm length. Let's go with target arm length. There we go. Okay, my target arm length is going to be something like 400 pointer, which is basically like 400 centimeters away from my actual player, because camera boom is basically a selfie stick. Okay, next up, I'm going to go ahead and point my camera boom towards, let's say something like a boolean use pawn control rotation. I'm going to point myself towards this boolean check up there, which is called use pawn control rotation. Okay, which is going to be set to truth. And guys, again, we can do these exact same things that I'm doing here inside of my actual Unreal Engine, but the reason I do it using code is because I actually do like it doing it from here. That's it, that's pretty much it. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and create another default sub object for my follow camera. So I'm going to go with something like create default sub object, okay, with a pair of ankle braces. This time for my follow camera, I'm going to go ahead and add something like a U camera component. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a text. My text is going to be called something like follow camera. Let's go with something like follow camera. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and point my follow camera. Alright guys, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and point my follow camera towards, let's say, a setup attachment. Exactly the same as my my camera boom, but this time I don't want my root component to be like a general root component. Instead, I want my root component to be my camera boom. So I'm like basically attached to my spring arm component. That's what I need. So now I can like move depending on where my actual spring arm component moves. And then let's go ahead and end this. And this also makes me the child of my camera boom. Okay, so my camera boom is the parent of my follow camera. Okay, and then next up, I'm gonna go ahead and point my follow camera towards, let's say something like my boolean use pawn control rotation. I'm gonna set that equal to false here because I don't want to like move on my own. Instead, I want to like move depending on where my actual spring arm component rotates type stuff. I think I spelled B use pawn control rotation wrong. And before I used to always think that the B here stands for boolean, it stands for blueprint, but it actually stands for boolean. Okay, that's pretty much it for my constructor. Now, I'm gonna hit Ctrl S to save the code, and just to check if everything works, I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine, go with something like live. I'm gonna go ahead and manually compile my code. Now, I should be able to see a build failed. Hold up, guys, did I have a typo somewhere? Does it point towards something? Okay, so compile default object. Okay. It says running Armville build donate log files. Okay, I think I see. There could be either two issues for this, guys. Okay, so the first thing could either be that I did not go ahead and include, let's say, okay, I did not include something like log slash log macros dot h. Is this a reason? Is this how I even spell it? Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's log macros, right? Okay, let's hit Control S. Wait for my compiler to like throw me an error up here. The second issue is I had a typo here. Edit anywhere blueprint read only. There we go. This should be blueprint read only. Okay, perfect. The spelling was wrong here as expected. Let's go ahead and delete that. Hit Control S to save the code. Now let's open my Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go ahead and type live compile again. Let's go ahead and live compile my code real quick. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. Okay, once it says success, 1 out of 4 done, 2 out of 4 done. Okay, it's probably going to be saying 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 4 done as well. It only takes long the first time we compile. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it says results succeeded in 18 seconds. Okay, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to my content under my C/C++ classes. I'm going to drag my humans class. Now, my humans class does have a camera here as well. And if I were to like, let's say, extend my details panel here and scroll all the way down here, I can see I have my camera boom here, which is basically my spring arm component, and my follow camera that is a child of my spring arm component. So that's perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click this plus icon and type something like, I don't know, maybe something like static mesh. And guys, I feel like I'm talking like I'm making a tutorial. I actually don't know half the things I'm doing here. Maybe I do know like more than half the things I'm doing, but still. Okay, but the static mesh shouldn't be in there. The static mesh should be for my humans instance. There we go. Let's go ahead and create a static mesh real quick. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this part all the way up here. There we go. Okay, why does this say static mesh 1? I mean, that's fine. So, I'm gonna go ahead and click this none button here and type something like, maybe Lisa. There we go. I think that my cube was called Lisa. There we go. Okay, and guys, I did like spend a lot of time making this 3D mesh in Blender, because usually I used to just use like textures stuck above like a block or a cube type stuff, but I spent like a lot of time trying to work on this. Okay, let's go with R. Let's go ahead and decrease the thing. Go ahead and decrease the size. I mean, we usually decrease the size from like Blender, not like Unreal Engine, so I think this should be good for like my size. So I'm gonna go ahead and click something like W. Now, okay, now is like the tough part. I'm gonna go ahead and click something like E to rotate myself. There. Okay, can I rotate myself to a 90 degrees? Okay, that should be good. Let's hit something like W. I want to go ahead and get myself print. Basically, what I'm trying to do is get myself inside my capsule here. There we go. So that is my capsule. I'm gonna get this a bit lower there. Let's go a bit back. Okay, guys, this looks more like an Among Us head because I did not know how to draw the eyes at the end. I just like gave up and like removed the eyes in general. Okay, let's go with something like E. I'm gonna go ahead and turn myself a little. There we go. That's good. Let's go with W. Let's move myself a bit to the left. There. Okay, guys, I think I'm inside the capsule, right? Yeah, I think I'm actually inside the capsule. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna go. Actually, I want to go a bit back. Let's go ahead and click my static mesh here. Now, I want to go ahead and get myself a little to the back. There we go. Let's go ahead and try getting the red button from there. A bit in the front. There. Okay, that's perfect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click my entire humans instance and get myself a little lower. Okay, this is actually perfect. There we go, guys. It's still kind of hard to move in like Unreal Engine. Okay, now I'm going to be pointing this way. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my follow camera because I don't like really want it to be like a third person. I mean, okay, it depends. Third person is fine and all that stuff. I want to go with first person though. So I'm going to go a bit in front. I want to go a bit higher. Okay, and then I'm going to click something like E to rotate myself there. Okay, and then I'm going to click something like W to go a bit higher, a little back. There we go. Now, if I were to go ahead and type something like possess. So there we go. Possess inside my humans instance. I'm going to go to my humans instance, type something like possess. My auto possess spawn is set at default, actually set at disable. I'm gonna change that to player 0 so I can see from my camera's point of view. That's it. Now let's go ahead and run the code. There we go. So this is basically my mesh here. I cannot move my mesh just yet though. So I'm gonna go ahead and escape that. Now time to add some inputs. And guys, I feel this mesh is like so much better than like these let's go with my Blender FBX files. Maybe okay, under my Blender FBX file, I just have health bars under my QGP files. There we go. Like better than these meshes that I used to have. I mean, you guys get the gist of the meshes. What up, guys? This actually looks kind of cool, the floor. Does it? How did I change the floor? Let's go ahead and click my floor. I'm going to go with something like R. Let's decrease it. Guys, how did I just do that? This looks kind of cool, honestly. Okay, it looks awful. I'm changing it back. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my Unreal Engine here. Inside my Unreal Engine, let's see. Wait, could you guys see my entire window? Okay, guys, good. I was like concerned for a bit. There we go. Okay, I think that should be good. Alright, now inside my Visual Studio in my C++ section, under my super begin play, there are a few things that I gotta add here. Now, this is the part that I actually forgot half the stuff that I gotta do, so I need to see the reference for that. But before that, I'm gonna go to my legacy mapping under inputs section. I'm gonna go with axis mapping, and then let's say create an axis for my turn method. Okay, let's go with something like turn. Okay, which is gonna be, I'm gonna be turning depending on where my mouse moves in the x-axis. And then I'm gonna go ahead and click this again. I'm gonna go ahead and add a lookup function. I'm gonna go ahead and look up depending on where my mouse points in the, where my mouse moves in the y-axis, which is like vertically. Okay, that's like pretty much it. Now let's go ahead and get /Gemini up here. Now this is the part that I actually need to work on. So can I like extend this whole thing? There we go. So these were like the basic codes where I forgot to include my input action value, but that's actually not like necessary. Okay, and then I create two classes up here. I mean, I didn't include camera component, but that's not like important. That said, I go all the way down here. I did all these parts. I gotta go ahead and get my C++ file, not my header file. Okay, is this my C++ file? Okay, so this says U class, this is protected. Okay, this looks like my header files too. Let's go a little higher. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me go ahead and scroll a bit higher. Okay, I don't like see my C++ files. Okay, I think this is like the wrong code. Let me go all the way up here. Oh yeah, it was the wrong code, guys. Okay, let me go ahead and scroll all the way up here again. Okay, this is for my yaw, and that's for my fish. I mean, I could like easily go for my other code. Okay, there we go. I think it's this. So what I firstly gotta do is, let's see. Okay, add mapping context. Can you explain me this part? So under my begin play, I add a if statement to check if a player controller, which is represented by player controller's pointer, is equal to cast a player controller. Okay, I gotta probably need an explanation for this part. Let's go with something like super begin play up till here. Okay, hello everyone, hiding Neymar, appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's go ahead and paste this, go to enter and say something like sensei. Before I add this part to my code, can you explain me what's the purpose of it, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, since it's here, guys, I feel Gemini does, I gotta say it like, kind of cut the role playing. Okay, the big picture, the gatekeeper in the old days of Unreal, inputs were always on. In the new enhanced input system, inputs are disabled by default. You have to explicitly tell the game, hey, this player is now using the specific set of controls. This block of code is that power on switch. Okay, this is one of the most important behind the scenes moments in Unreal Engine. If input actions are the muscles, this code is the nervous system connecting the brain to the body. I see. Line by line, the are you human check if a player controller, which is represented by a player controller's pointer, is equal to cast a player controller, cast a pair of ankle braces, a player controller with a pair of parentheses of controller. Why does Okay, what it does, every pawn has a generic controller. It could be an AI or a player. The purpose, we only want to add inputs to a local player if the character is being controlled by an NPC. If this check fails and the code stops, we do not want NPC to read the mouse movements. The finding the managing check. If you enhance input player subsystem, if you enhance input local player subsystem, which is equal to which is represented by a pointer of subsystem, okay, equals to you local player get subsystem. Okay, you enhance input local player subsystem. Okay, player controller points towards get local player. Okay, I kind of know this part. What it does, it asks the player controller for its local player subsystem. The purpose, think of the subsystem as the manager of inputs. You can't just throw keys at a character, you have to give it to the manager. I see the handshake, the most important part, subsystem points towards add mapping context, default mapping context, and my priority is set to 0. What it does, this tells the manager, please start listening to the default mapping context, your IMC asset for this player. The priority 0, this is the priority level. If you have a driving mapping and a walking mapping, you can give the driving a priority of 1. When you get in the car, the engine will prioritize the car. Oh, I see. Okay. This makes so much more sense now. Imagine you have okay, since it's analogy, imagine you have a universal remote, the keyboard / mouse. The player controller is you holding the remote. The mapping context is the code for your specific TV brand, the IA move and IA look. I think I see. But I still need to learn the syntaxes, so I might look at the reference while actually writing this part. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and scroll down. Let's go all the way up here. There we go. Okay, so firstly, inside my begin play, I gotta go ahead and add an if statement to check if what was the part for? To check if I'm still, or to check if I'm a human. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like if a player. Let's go with something like if a player controller, which is going to be represented by a player controller's pointer is equal to, let's go with something like cast. I'm going to use the cast as function, add a pair of ankle braces, and then a pair of parentheses. So my cast is going to say something like a player controller. Okay, so if my player controller equals to player controller's controller, is that how we phrase it, guys? I don't think this is how we phrase it. Okay, if this condition is met, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and add another if statement. Now, my second if statement is going to check if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by a pointer of subsystem, is equal to, I'm assuming I go with get local. I think I go with something like get local, or was it? I think it's U local player. There we go. It's U local player. If my subsystem is equal to my U local player, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to use the scope resolution operator and use the get players this function. Was it get player? Okay, it's get subsystems this function. Okay, so I understand this part is just the syntaxes that are a bit tricky. Okay, so my U local player subsystem is going to be having a pair of ankle braces. Inside my pair of ankle braces, I'm going to go ahead and add my U enhanced input local player subsystem. Let's go with something like input local player subsystem. There we go. So if my subsystems pointer, which represents my U enhanced input local player subsystem, is equal to my U local player with a scope resolution operator of me getting the subsystem of my U enhanced input local player subsystem. Okay, if that is equal to this, I'm going to add a pair of parentheses to invoke my function and then add something like a player controller. Was it player controller? Okay, so my player controller. So I'm starting to actually see what my player controller here actually means. So let's go ahead and get this somewhere down here. Okay, I mean, I could go ahead and like add this in a new line. So it says if my player controller points towards, let's see, maybe I go ahead and get this down here. I just wanted to like be more readable type stuff. So hold up, guys. Let me actually mute myself. Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, guys, there was just some background noises. I gotta get rid of those. That's it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and point my player controller to my get local players function. Let's go with something like get local player. There we go. Okay, perfect. And that's like pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of parentheses to invoke this function. Okay, here's the thing. I actually understood this part, but it's still kind of tricky for some reason. If this is true, then I go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a subsystem. Let's add a pair of curly braces here. I'm gonna go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's say point my subsystem towards let's say add mapping context. I'm gonna go with something like add mapping context. And my add mapping context is basically a handshake. Like this part actually works. So my add mapping context is going to be having a pair of parentheses where I go with something like default mapping context. But I won't be actually calling this default mapping context. Hold up, guys. Let me actually meet myself. Already mic testing, mic testing. Guys, there's just a lot of background noises. Gotta get like rid of those. There we go. Okay, that's it. So what did I have to do? I had to like point my add mapping context towards, let's say, my default mapping context. But sure, I don't actually, hold up, guys. Give me another second. Already mic testing, mic testing. Guys, there were like a lot of background noise. You gotta like get rid of those. Okay, that's it. So instead of going with like a default mapping context, hello sir, how are you doing? Purneet, is that how you pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Let me go out of it up here, guys. I can hardly focus with all these background noises. Okay, so I see something like a default mapping. So I'm going to go with something like add mapping context of my default mapping. Let's go with something like default mapping. Okay, I think I spelled add mapping context wrong. So I'm going to go with something like add mapping context. And in case it's not actually spelled wrong, I might actually include my input actions. Let's go with something like context. There we go. Okay, it is wrong, probably because I can't get access to my function here. So I'm gonna go ahead and include, let's say something like input action. Let's go with something like include input action. There we go. Okay, was it actually called input action? Again, guys, I actually like almost completely forgot where I was at because of all these background noises here. Okay, this is for my begin play. Hold up, guys, let me scroll all the way up here. Let's go all the way up here. There we go. So where was I actually looking at? There we go. Okay, so what was I looking at up here? Let me think real quick. Okay, so it's input action values with header file. So it's input action value.h. Okay, this was the part that I messed up on. I mean, not messed up. I like missed this part. Let's go ahead and scroll all the way down here. I've been watching your stream since 2 months and I try to understand your work, but I couldn't. Honestly, I am like working on like enhanced inputs in Unreal Engine 5 where I want to make my user move using key controls type stuff. That's it. Let's scroll all the way down. There we go. Now I can have access to add mapping context. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Okay, I still don't have. So it says you enhanced input local player subsystem has no member of add mapping context. I see. So wait, am I missing something? It's add mapping context. What if I go with control space for like into lessons? Oh, I spelled context wrong, no wonder. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just end this with a semicolon. I do gotta go ahead and set my priority to be 0 because this is like my first priority. For example, if I enter inside of a car, that's gonna be my second priority type stuff. Okay, here. I kind of understood this part, but I do gotta like write this a few more times to like whatchamacallit, understand the actual syntaxes for here. So I might actually delete this again. Now let me go ahead and add something like in a statement. I'm gonna go ahead and check if my A player controller, which is going to be represented by A player controller's this pointer, is let's say equal to something like cast. With a pair of ankle braces, I'm gonna go ahead and add a cast of my A player controller. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a pair of parentheses to invoke my function. My pair of parentheses is gonna be having a parameter of my player, actually of my controller. And guys, I am trying to write this without the reference here because I want to see if I actually memorize my syntaxes. LLER, there we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm gonna add a if statement to check if my U enhanced input local player subsystem, which is going to be represented by a pointer of let's say something like subsystem. Hold up guys, I think I spelled subsystem wrong, SYSTEM, there we go. Okay, is equal to a cast of let's say a pair of ankle braces of U. Okay, I might go with a cast of let's go with Control Z. Hold on guys, give me a quick second. I don't know why is it kind of smoky here. Okay, let's go with something like a cast. My cast is gonna have a pair of ankle braces. Now inside of my cast, I'm gonna add my U enhanced local player subsystem. There we go. This is my cast, UENHANCED, U enhanced input local player subsystem. Let's go with something like input. There we go. This is my cast. Then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and point my player controller, let's say towards I actually forgot what did I have to point it towards because I think I actually got this part. To my get local player. Okay, wait. Instead of cast, I did not have to go with cast. There we go. This is the part that I forgot. So I'm gonna add something like a U local. Let's go with something like a U local player with a scope resolution operator that points towards the get subsystems function. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add this in a new line. Okay, this is the trickier part in this part. Let's go out of here. There we go. So this is like a kind of a tricky part. So a player controller, I know that part. So if my player controller is equal to my casted a player controller, my actual user's controller, then I move on to my second if statement. If U enhanced input local player subsystem, which is represented by a pointer subsystem, is equal to my U local player this get subsystems this function, which requires this parameter, then I'm going to do something. I point my player controller to my get local player. Okay, I think I actually understood this part. Let's go with LOCAL player. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to add a pair of parentheses to go ahead and invoke my function. Now, once I'm done with this as well, I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to point my subsystem. Let's go with my sub. Wait, did I have to? I think I'm pretty sure I had to point my subsystem towards something, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and point my subsystem towards, let's say, my add mapping context. Let's go with add mapping context with a pair of parentheses, which requires a parameter of my default mapping. Or was it called default mapping? Okay, it was called default mapping with my priority set to be 0. Okay, I think I understood this part. The only things that I needed a reference for was my uLocal player and get subsystem. I forgot that syntax, and my get local player is the syntax. Okay, I think I can actually move on. I think Pixels, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, this is pretty much it. Next up, guys, I actually got it. Excuse me, guys. There we go. Okay, let's go all the way up here. I don't know why this place is a bit dusty right now. Okay, once I'm done with that, let me go ahead and get Gemini all the way up here. go. Let's go ahead and increase it from here, go ahead and zoom in a little, zoom out a bit. Now I'm gonna go ahead and extend this. This is not the chord that I'm looking for. Let's go all the way down here. I'm gonna scroll higher. Now the second block of code, to check if I understand this block, I'm gonna go all the way up here. There we go. For my second block, once I'm done with my begin play right here, there we go. This is where I'm done with my begin play. Next up, I create a void function, or I define the move function, or basically the move function that I've declared in my header files. I'm going to define it here. Okay, my void a females move function requires a constant parameter of f input action value, which requires the memory address of my value, and then f vector 2d, okay, which points towards movement vector, and that is equal to value dot the get function, which has my f vector 2d inside the prof ankle braces. Then I invoke the function. If controller is not equal to null PDR, I find out which way is forward based on my camera's rotation. Okay, constant f rotator, which is represented by a rotations is local variable that is equal to my controller's is get control rotation function. Hiding attack is our penetrating name. I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Okay, that said, I think it's hard to read that in the chat, so I'm gonna go ahead and just type it out first, and then try understanding it inside my actual block of code. Okay, before I actually do that, let me go ahead and scroll all the way up here so I can actually get to that part. There. Okay, perfect. So apparently, after I'm done with my begin play, which is right here, I'm firstly gonna go to my humans' header files. I forgot to add a parameter. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a void function. I mean, this is legacy input functions. I might go ahead and add another comment that says something like enhanced input function. Enhanced legacy input functions, enhanced input functions. There we go. Now for my enhanced input function, I'm gonna go ahead and create a void function called something like move, which requires a constant parameter of something like f input action value that requires the memory address of my value as a parameter ending with a semicolon. Then I'm going to control S to save the code, go to my C++ file, go ahead and create a void function. This function is going to be from my humans class that points towards, let's say, something like my move function, which requires a constant parameter of my f input action value with a which requires the memory address of the values parameter. There we go. FINPUT. There we go. F input action value. Okay, perfect. Okay, hi, hiding Otaka. I appreciate you joining the stream. Guys, I feel like whatchamacallit, this is kind of smoky. I might drink some water. Hold up, guys, give me a sec. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of curly braces here. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Let's say I had to create a F rotator. Hold up, guys, I think I forgot that part. I mean, it's not the part that I forget, it's mostly the syntax that is hard to remember. Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create a local variable which represents my f vector 2D, because I am working with two-dimensional stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call this something like rotator. Let's go with something like movement vector. My bad, guys. Movement vector. Okay, I know what my movement vector is. My movement vector is like my scale value, which I will be needing later on when I add my input movement. So my movement vector, that is going to be equal to my values parameter here dot the get function with a pair of ankle braces. I want to get my f vector 2D with a pair of parentheses to invoke my function ending with a semicolon. This part shouldn't be that hard. Okay, but once I'm done with that part, I gotta go ahead and add a if statement to firstly check if my controller, which is basically my player's controller, is not equal to a null PDR. If it's not a null pointer, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces, and then let's say I'm gonna find out which way is forward based on my camera's rotation. So I'm going to create a constant f rotator, excuse me guys, which is going to be represented by a rotations local variable. There we go. That is going to be equal to my controller, which is my player's controller, with a arrow mark operator that is going to point towards the get control rotations function. Now here's the thing. This shouldn't be that hard to remember as well. Get control control. There we go. Okay, this part shouldn't be that hard to remember as well. So if my controller is not null PDR, then I get my I find out which way is forward based on my camera rotation. I might add that comment here because I feel it's much easier to actually see my code or like understand my code if I know what it does. So I'm gonna excuse me guys, it's kind of dusty for some reason. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and find out. Maybe I do have allergies actually. Okay, let's go ahead and find out which way is forward based on my camera's rotation, based on camera rotation. Okay, so I find out which way is normal based on my camera's rotation. I have a constant f rotator, okay, that points towards my that is going to be equal to my controller pointing towards my get rotation. Ah, I see. Okay, now once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create another f rotator. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and create another constant f rotator, okay, which is going to be represented by a your rotations is a local variable, which is going to have three parameters. First is going to be 0, second is going to be rotator dot the yaw. The third parameter is going to be 0 as well. Did I spell rotator wrong? It's rotation dot yaw. My bad guys. Let's go with rotation dot yaw. Okay, and this is my rotation variable right here. Then I end that with a semicolon. I think I'm trying to understand what this means. I might get the pitch to work here as well. Even though I wouldn't actually like really need this part. I mean, I actually would need this part. Okay, and then I go ahead and create another constant f vector. So let's go ahead and create another constant f vector. Okay, let's go with vector. There we go, which is going to be represented by a forward vectors local variable that is going to be equal to my f rotation matrix. Oh, f rotation matrix, which requires. What's good, bro? Hiding, Sprongle, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, my f rotator matrix requires a parameter, I'm assuming, of my yaw rotation. There we go, it is my yaw rotation. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use the dot get unit axis. Oh, I remember this part. I'm gonna go ahead and get my unit axis. Okay, with a pair of parentheses, I'm gonna get my e axis, which is gonna be x. And then I'm gonna end this with semicolon. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm gonna go with f vector. This time, instead of my forward vector, I'm gonna go with my right vector. Let's go with right direction. Okay, I think direction is a better word as well. Let's go with something like direction. There we go, which is going to be equal to my f rotation matrix with a pair of parentheses that requires a parameter of my yaw rotation. Okay, let's go with something like the dot get unit axis. I'm going to go with something like get unit axis with a pair of parentheses, which requires a e-axis as well of my y-axis, ending with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, I mean, I won't say this is hard to understand / memorize. Why does my move method have a red underline here? Let's see. So declaration is incompatible with what a human move method. Constant error memory address of value declared at line 45. Okay, so line 45. There we go. Did I miss a semicolon? Maybe not. F input action value, which requires the memory address or the address of operator of my value. That is correct, right? I mean, I'll see if I run into an error later on. For the time being, it does look kind of correct. I'm assuming that's my actual editor. Sick hair, bro. I appreciate you sprung guys. I didn't give myself like a haircut. I thought that it looked kind of weird actually, but I think it looks kind of cool. Okay, that's it. Let's go all the way up here to now I'm gonna go ahead and add movement. So W and S for y-axis, A and D for x-axis. Okay, here's the thing. My movement is going to be inside of my if statement here. So for my movement, let's go ahead and add a comment that says add movement. For my movement, I'm going to go ahead and use the add movement inputs as function. Okay, my add movements as function requires two parameters. First is going to be a world direction. Second is going to be a scale value. My world direction is my move forward or my forward direction and my right direction. My scale value is going to be my movement vector up here. So I'm going to go with something like forward direction. There we go. And my scale value is going to be my movement vector. Dot the y-axis. Y-axis is to move forward and backwards. I spelled movement vector wrong. There we go. Okay, perfect. Right? Has to be. Movement vector. I spelled it wrong. There's no way I didn't spell it wrong. It was a typo. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add another input, another movement input. There we go. Which requires a world direction. This is going to be for my right direction. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a scale value, which is going to be my movement vector dot the x-axis, ending with a semicolon. That's like pretty much it. Once I'm done with that, I gotta go ahead and void a female turn. I'm not gonna add yaw input. I'm not gonna go ahead and add pitch input. Call every frame. I'm not gonna actually work on that for the time being. But this is pretty much it for my move function. Now comes the easier part. I'm gonna go ahead and add a void function from my aHumans class. Let's go with aHumans class. I'm gonna go ahead and get access to my turn function, which requires a floating point parameter of value. Let's go with something like value. And guys, basically the turn function I did like declared inside of my... What is wrong here? Did I have a typo? Pretty sure a typo. Wait, why did I go with F input action value? This is going to be a U input action. F input action. Okay, let's go with an F. Maybe a U. Okay, I'll actually work on this part later. Let's go with a bunch of controls. There we go. Okay, so basically, I have my turn and lookup function. I declared it here, and I'm going to define it inside my C++ file. So I'm going to go ahead and do something here. I'm going to go ahead and add my controller. Let's go with add controller. Okay. Yaw input. Yaw input is basically in charge of me moving or me turning in the x-axis. And the reason I went with controller and not add input is because my mouse is basically a controller. So add controller yaw input, okay, which requires a parameter of my value ending with a semicolon. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another function from my aHuman. I'm going to go ahead and get my lookups function, which requires a floating point parameter of value. Then I go with the pair of curly braces. I'm going to go ahead and add my controller's pitch input. Pitch input is going to be in charge of me looking up and down, which requires a floating point parameter of value ending with a semicolon. And that's about it. Now, lastly, I'm going to go ahead and bind everything. So, because right now my Unreal Engine knows my inputs, my Visual Studio knows my inputs, but they're not attached together. So I cannot say that what to do once that input is actually clicked. That said, let's go all the way down here to... Okay, now for my final step. View input components. Okay, so I'm apparently gonna have to... This is a bit trickier part. So I'm gonna go with an if statement to check if my U enhanced input component, which is represented by enhanced input component, is equal to gas check. So if my U enhanced input component, which is going to be represented, I think I spelled something wrong. U enhanced input component. If my U enhanced view enhanced input component enhancedinputcomponent. I spelled it correct. So if my U enhanced input component, which is represented by a pointer, did I go ahead and include my enhanced input component? Sure, I did. Move function enhanced declaration is incompatible with a void move header type value. Okay, so it says something like an header type. Let's see why. Void function create there, ended there. I mean, this part should be kind of correct. Let's go with a bunch of control C's here. There we go. Maybe I go ahead and scroll all the way down here to. Hold on, guys. Let me go ahead and look at the reference real quick for this part. Okay, because I feel like this part is a bit hard to do without the reference. Okay, let's scroll all the way up. There we go. Okay, so apparently, let me go ahead and scroll a little lower. A bit higher. There. Okay, so under my super, so this is my player input component. I add a if statement. I did that part correct of my U enhanced input component. Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get some /Gemini here, because this is the part that I actually did not understand. I mean, not like not understand type stuff. It's whatchamacallit. This was the harder part to actually bind them up. I know how to bind my regular legacy inputs, but I don't know how to bind my enhanced inputs. Let me see something like sensei. I actually forgot how to do the binding part here. ... I know how to bind legacy inputs, but not enhanced inputs. Can you show it to me real quick? Question mark. Okay, before I actually say that, I'm gonna go to my humans header files, go with Control A, Control C, get Gemini up here. Let's go all the way there, and let's go ahead and paste it here. Now let's hit enter. Okay, guys, why is it kind of hot? Okay, you came to the right place and say adjust her glasses and points to the whiteboard with a proud smile. Binding enhanced inputs feels a bit different than old legacy way, but it's actually much more organized once you see the pattern. In legacy, you use bind access, and enhanced you use bind action. I see. The binding repair guide. Here's how you fill in that empty if statement in your setup player component. Copy this exact thing. So I go with the view enhanced input component, points towards enhanced input component, which is equal to my cast checked. If my enhanced input component has my cast checked of my U enhanced input component, player input component, then I'm going to do something. My enhanced input component is going to be pointing towards a bind action. I'm going to go ahead and bind my action for my move action. Okay, and then a move trigger event, E trigger event, which is going to be pointing towards, or which is going to be where I'm going to get my trigger using a scope resolution operator from inside of my E trigger event. I want it to apply on this object. I want to use the move function there. Note, since you're still using legacy input for turning up, we keep those in, okay? I know how to do this. This was the harder part. If U enhanced input component is equal to cast checked player input component, then my enhanced input component binds towards an action. Wait, in that case, this should be easy. Okay, let's try it. So if my U enhanced enhanced, if my U enhanced input component there we go. If my U enhanced input component, which is going to be pointing towards a local, actually a pointer of enhanced input component, okay, is equal to, let's go with something like cast checked. Okay, with a pair of ankle braces, if my cast is checked of my U enhanced input component, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and add a pair of parentheses to invoke my function, and then I'm going to add my player input component here. Okay, and I think I spelled enhanced wrong. Let's go with U enhanced input component. I think I went with player. There we go. Okay, maybe I go ahead and copy this, paste it here, because I have a lot of typos. There we go. If my cast is checked, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I want to point my enhanced input component towards, let's say, something like a bind action. I want to bind the action. My bind action requires a few parameters. The first parameter is, I'm assuming my move action name, so this is going to be my move action, and then it requires a trigger event. Okay, with a scope resolution operator, I'm going to go with something like triggered. If my event is triggered, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Let's say I want to go ahead and get this in a new line first of all. Okay, and then go a bit lower there. Okay, I'm going to go. Alrighty, mic testing, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and open my projects. I hope everything is saved. Okay, let's open my Unreal Engine. Is everything saved? Alright guys, let's open my project 6. Pretty sure I save everything, don't I? Okay, hiding long story, appreciate you joining the stream. It saves restore packet managers. I want to go ahead and restore everything. Let's go with something like restore selected. Okay, apparently everything is restored, guys. I honestly hate it when like my PC crashes like randomly. That's kind of annoying. Like, do you guys experience the same problem with you guys' PCs? Okay, I mean everything else is saved except of my my binding, so that's a good thing because I wanted to write my binding again to see if I understood it. That's a content drawer. In my contents, I have my map saved. I have my inputs saved. Everything is actually saved. That's good. Let's go here. Okay, my buttons are saved here. That's good. Let me go ahead and check if my IA move is set to 2D vector. Okay, perfect. I guess we didn't have that big of a loss, guys, except my C++ classes are missing. I forgot how to get them back, but I'll get them in a bit. Speaking of C++ classes, let's go ahead and add a if statement up here. I'm gonna add a if statement that says something like, if my enhanced input component points towards enhanced if my enhanced input component points towards, let's say, my enhanced input component, then I'm gonna check if that is equal to my cast checked. Let's go with cast checked with a pair of ankle braces. I want to check if my cast is enhanced input component. If it is, then I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of parentheses to invoke my function. I keep spelling enhanced input component wrong. Let's go ahead and paste it here. I'm gonna go ahead and add a parameter of my player input component. There we go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drink some water because I think I'm kind of thirsty. Let me go ahead and get this a bit lower, get that a bit lower as well. There we go. Hold up, guys, give me a sec. There we go, and then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces, and then now inside my if statement, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. We go ahead and just exit all these things. Let's go with an if statement that checks something. So am I gonna check if my enhanced input component is maybe I don't check anything here. Instead I go with something like if. Okay, if that is true, I'm gonna go ahead and point to my enhanced input component what up, guys? My Discord actually opened. Let's go ahead and close it. This is what happens when I start my PC. For some reason my Discord like opens automatically. Okay, let's go with enhanced input component. There we go. I'm gonna point that towards, let's say, something like a bind action with a pair of parentheses that requires a few parameters. The first is gonna be move. The second is gonna be a trigger event, where I'm going to use a scope resolution operator to get the trigger type. Then I'm going to go with a comma. Next up, I'm going to require a parameter of this because I want this function to work on this object. My humans is the object. Lastly, the final parameter is going to be the memory address from my humans class. I'm going to go ahead and get, let's say, the move function with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Okay, let's see. Am I missing a parameter? An expression must be a value or a function designer. 1, 2, 3, 4. From my a humans class, I get my move function. Oh, I don't need to add a pair of parentheses. The reason I might see a red underline here could be because of my move function. Guys, what's wrong with the air here? It's kind of choking me. There we go. Okay, let's get some say Gemini up here. Now, in my chat, it says, there we go. New enhance input component, which is going to be bind action. Maybe I want to go ahead and drink some water first. Okay, let's see. Alright, guys, give me a sec. Okay, I think that should fix it. Maybe for the time being, I guess. Okay, that's it. Let me think really hard. So, why is my move function not actually accepted? Is it because I added like the memory address of my f input? Whereas here I go with something like f input value. I see. Okay, maybe I go ahead and let's say go with control. Let's just save the code. Before I actually run my code, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say bind my other things as well. So I'm gonna go with something like player input component. I'm gonna go ahead and point that towards, let's say something like the bind access, because I have a few accesses to bind as well. My access name is going to be called something like churn. I want to apply that function on this, and let's say, excuse me guys, I want to go ahead and I want to get the memory address of my a human. I'm going to point towards the turns method ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and do that for my lookup as well. So I'm going to go with player input component. I'm going to go ahead and point that towards another bind access with a row of parentheses where my method is going to be something like lookup. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like this. Lastly, I'm going to go with the memory address of my a human with a scope resolution operator of something like lookup ending with a semicolon. Now I'm gonna go to my Unreal Engine. Let's go ahead and firstly get my classes back. I forgot how to do that. Okay, let me go all the way up here. I knew that there was like a button to do that, but I forgot what button. Let me say something like say. So my PC crashed and now I don't see my classes in my content browser. How do I fix that question mark? I know how to fix, like, I mean, I know there's a fix for it because I did have that issue before. So let's get this up here real quick. Let me go ahead and get my Unreal Engine as well. Here, okay, let's go ahead and get Gemini. There, I gotta extend that a little. Or should I decrease the size? Hold on guys, give me a sec. Maybe I go ahead and decrease the size of this. There, that's good. And then let's go ahead and get Gemini. Extend the size a little bit. There, don't panic, the problem. Try to refresh first. Nuclear solution, the master fix. Binary, source file, header file, blah blah blah. I know I gotta do something from my files here. What if I go to something like file? Okay, I'm using MySQL. That actually sounds really cool. Hey, just a second. Why am I not able to insert values in a database? Please, honestly, I haven't like started learning MySQL, but then I eventually might actually work on that. Okay, that's let's see. Let's go all the way up here to clear solution. Pretty sure there was like a rebuild option. Let me go ahead and rebuild all. Let's go with something like rebuild, or maybe like rebuild solution. There we go. If I rebuild it, it's also going to be adding my content inside of my C++. I mean, inside of my Unreal Engine here. But I will be seeing a small error because it says that I have a tiny error in my move function there. Alright, I guess gotta figure out by myself. Honestly, you could like join my Discord server, like mention the people that are like for the coding helper summon type stuff. Some of them might actually be good at MySQL, but then I don't have like much people in Discord server, so like many people don't actually volunteer to be like a coding helper there. Let me know guys if you guys want to actually be a coding helper on my Discord. That's it, let's go all the way up here to, okay, it's almost done compiling. There we go, I think it's like 90% done. Rebuild all starter projects. Automation tool configuration to toggle the settings in your content browser. Honestly, let me try that real quick. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's done building. Okay, rebuild all 52 succeeded. Everything succeeded. Why do I see a red underline here? Maybe I'm gonna go ahead and shrink that. Toggle your settings in the content browser. I'm assuming if I go here to my content browser, how do I toggle my settings? Settings, C++ classes. It is being shown, okay, and then public localized. Okay, engine. I mean, my C++ classes is like enabled. Tomorrow's my exam. I'm cooked. Honestly, good luck with your exam. Surya, is that how I pronounce your name? That's sad. Let's go ahead and be up here. But guys, cooked is kind of crazy for exam. I actually kind of feel that though. Okay, I don't see my C++ classes though. So, I mean, I'm positive I saved everything, didn't I? Okay, let's see. Link, please. Honestly, guys, could get access to my Discord server by typing something like exclamation Discord on chat. Okay, that's it. Let's go all the way up here. There we go. Okay, so it says all content input. Here's the thing. Did I save my class after making it? This part did not work. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. Let's say something like, are these files still in your source folders? Let's say something like, someone from my chat said me to toggle settings in a content browser. I still have access to my class, but I just cannot see it in my level and my content browser. There we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, it sounds like your chat gave you a great tip to the hide and seek. Check show C++ content browser. Make sure C++ check C++ classes folder. Okay, why is this not in the level? Oh, I think I see. My bad, guys. I just gotta go ahead and live compile. Let's go with something like live compile. There we go. Now it should like actually load inside of my Unreal Engine once I live compile. Let's wait for it to compile. It's still compiling, guys. While it's compiling, I might drink some water real quick. Okay, compiling changes for live coding, I see. Is it just me or live compiling always took this long? Okay, because I can see it loading in my other window. So let's see. So program files. Okay, maybe what if I go... Okay, there we go. I was about to cancel it, guys. There we go. I think it's the first time. So it does say code failed. So it says my move function here. Let's go ahead and copy this part real quick. I'm gonna go all the way up here. Okay, let's get Gemini up here. Okay, have you tried Unreal own AI plug? I haven't heard of that. What's that about? Okay, because I know that Unreal can have a lot of plugins, but I actually haven't tried like a single one of those plugins. Let's say something like say. When I try to compile my code, I get this error. Okay, let's see. So don't panic. Sensei scratches the ear logs before they hit the floor and start circling the culprits with a red pen. Chat, we have few spelling bees and logic knots. Of course it's spelling, guys. The crash might have scrambled your memory to repair. Fix the header files. Okay, so the error missing type specifier. If you're told the compiler, so structure, note that value at the end. Okay, change this line. Structure F input. Oh, I see. So this is just F input up here. This should be F input value. Okay, and then let's hit Control S to save the code. This fixes that part as well. Let's go all the way up here. This should fix this as well. Let's give it a second. Okay, don't worry, bro. I'm done with my Python. I'll be a helper in a Discord server. Honestly, I appreciate you, Surya. I could actually like, give you that once I'm done with the stream. Yeah, I don't like live coding. I just do manual code adjustments like lighter JetBrains instead. It's faster. I see Unreal's AI assistant is pretty good and probably might help you more. And it's free. I see. I might actually look into that actually after I'm done with after I'm done streaming. That's it. Let's go ahead and get my Unreal Engine up here. There we go. Okay, did it fix my move? There we go. I think it fixed almost everything. This is a bind action. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here again. Next up, for my C++. Look at your setup layer. You tried to bind move the function instead of the move action. Also, this is my function name, so I'm gonna go ahead and change this to be my move action. Well, it doesn't help that it doesn't say me what parameters do I need. Okay, so it's input action, which is my move action, my trigger event. I added that. This is my object, that is the function. Okay, let's open my Unreal Engine again. Let's hit control. Let's go with something like live. There we go. Okay, now I said when I'm done with Python, I'm still stuck in SQL still. That actually sounds kind of fun though, because I did like having Python series type stuff, where Python was really fun, but it eventually got boring for some reason. But in the other hand, I feel like SQL is going to be like even more fun, because I watched a video online where they said Python was the brains, SQL was the memory, and like C++ was the speed, JavaScript was for the body and the structure. Fact check me on that, guys, though. Alright, bro, okay. Honestly, I appreciate you sticking through a stream. Surreal, I'll catch you next stream. That said, why does compiling take so long? Before it used to never take this long. That's it. Let's just go ahead and minimize that and move a little. Go to something like my content browser. Okay, once this actually compiles successfully, I should be able to see my classes up here. Okay, so it's still compiling. And guys, make sure, okay, 3 out of 5 is done. That's it. Make sure to actually go to my community post and like, I added like, whatchamacallit, a image poll or like a poll in my channel where I asked you guys what stream should I have this Tuesday, because Tuesday I do like having a stream that is not actually coding. There was a bunch of options where many of you guys have like, majority of you guys have like chosen Blender. So it seems like I might actually have to go with Blender. Okay, content. I mean, I still don't see my C++ file. All folders, I see engine content. Why do I not see my C++? Okay, let's see. Let me think. My C++ classes is check shows classes in the view. What if I would hit Control S to save the code real quick? Control S to save the code. Let's save all here. Okay, that is content. Why do I not see my C++? I would strongly advise to use AI Assistant. Instead, is heavily trained on Unreal code based and framework. I see. Guys, I think I just had a deja vu. I actually exactly saw this in my dream like a few months ago. It can also provide useful posts to read more on topics. Actually, whatchamacallit, you could like send me the link of the AI assistant in my Discord server. I might actually like whatchamacallit, check it after I'm done with the stream, because I do feel like that would be kind of helpful. Let's go here. Okay, where is it that why is it that I don't see my classes? Okay, what does that mean? So let's go to my content browser. Do I gotta like import my classes? I don't think so. What if I go to document, go to Unreal project? This is gonna be my project 6. In my project 6, I might go with maybe sources. Let's go to something like source, my project 6. Okay, maybe not source. What if I go to config? There's nothing inside config. Is there something inside content? I see inputs. Oh, I see. Okay, I do not see my C++ class here. Could it be that I just did not save it? I mean, instead, to just save time, I might go ahead and actually like create a character class. Let's call it human. If I'm not able to, that means my class still exists. Okay, the human is already used. Okay, so how do I find it? Maybe I might go with something like human 1. Okay, but I don't want to actually like create a class, because I should be having one. I want to figure out on how to get it, because like every time my program crashes, I won't be able to see my class or something. Maybe instead of Gemini, I might get ChatGPT up here. Let me go ahead and get my chat there. There we go. Let's go ahead and get ChatGPT here. I'm gonna go ahead and let's say get my health bar chat. Okay, now for this chat, let me say something like Sensei. So let's go with something like, so my program crashed and I don't see my C++ folder. Let's go with something like folder in my content browser. Okay, but I still have that class in my project. Like I have access to it in my VS Code. Okay, so how do I see my classes in my level? And in my let's go with something like content jar. Okay, let's see, because last time when I had this issue, ChatGPT didn't help me out. Okay, Starbreeze, this is not a disaster. This is a classic Unreal moment. Your code is fine. The editor just lost the map where you see it step by step. First, understand what happened. Unreal separates source code from content. C++ lives on your disk. Visual Studio sees them. Editor UI only shows them after successful scan plus compile. Make sure you're looking in the right place. In content drawer settings, show C++ classes checked. Also check show plugin content. Now look for folder name C++ classes, not content. If you already did this, good, move on. Okay, close Unreal Engine completely in your project folders where your project is. A right click the project, generate Visual Studio Oh wait guys, I remembered. I think I jogged my memory up here. Let's go ahead and exit my Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go ahead and run my code through Visual Studio. There we go. If I run it through Visual Studio and that opens my Unreal Engine, that's when I'm actually like gonna see my, whatchamacallit, my actual project. So I'm gonna go with something like build. Did I like close my build midway? Hold on guys, give it a sec. What if I restart? Okay, you can close the editor, rebuild the project files, and reload the editor again. That actually makes sense. It took me a while to actually remember that part. That's it. Maybe I just go ahead and exit this. I don't want to like exit it. I mean, I guess I could. The build must be stopped before the solution can close. There we go. Oh, it is opening my Unreal Engine. No wonder it was taking a while. Okay, let's wait for my Unreal Engine to open. It's going to open my project. Almost done. There we go. Okay, so it went ahead and opened my Unreal Engine. Let's go ahead and say something like yes. I'm gonna go ahead and open all that stuff here. Go to content. And there we go. I see my C++ classes now as well. All I had to do was open it through my Visual Studio. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and type something like live compile. I want to go ahead and compile it. I think Longster, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay guys, I gotta like remember this part for the next time. Like every time my classes are being seen, I gotta close my Visual Studio entirely and open it through my I gotta close my Unreal Engine entirely and open it through my Visual Studio. Okay, success. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now this is my object where I can look up, I can look down, I can move forward using key controls, backwards, left and right. My key controls are disabled. Let's go ahead and fix that. So since my key controls are disabled, I'm going to go to something like my IMC default. Before that, my bad guys, I forgot a thing. Let's go to my human. I'm going to go ahead and extend this. I'm going to go ahead and type something like input. Inside my inputs section, I'm going to go ahead and add IMC default and IA move here. And that's pretty much it. This is why I couldn't move. Let's go ahead and type something like live compile. I'm going to go ahead and live compile. Run the code. There we go. Oh, it was done really quick. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now I should be able to move forward, backwards, towards the right, and towards the left. Speaking of right and left, I gotta fix a tiny thing here. Let's go ahead and add a negate here. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip these. I'm gonna add a modifier. This modifier is gonna be, let's say, of negate. Okay, my A is gonna have negate, my D will not have anything. There. Now let's go ahead and compile it again. I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Let's go ahead and compile. It's more than 15 days since you started Unreal. What have you built so far? Honestly, I first worked with like legacy inputs. Now I started working with like enhanced inputs. And speaking of which, I also like, build this cool little measure. Okay, so I can go ahead and move back and front. There we go. Depending on where my camera is pointing. Okay, that's actually perfect. But I want to go towards like a first person. Let's go all the way up here. Whoops. Let's go there. There we go. Okay, let's get a bit closer. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get my camera. Let's go ahead and change my position a little. So, I'm going to go with something like my follow camera. I'm going to get that a little bit lower and then a bit forward. There. A bit higher. Okay, then I'm going to go with something like R and decrease the size of my camera. Wait, I got to click the white box. There, and then I'm going to go ahead and click something like W, get this a bit in front. Because I want it to be like a first person. There we go. Now let's go ahead and compile the code again real quick. So I'm gonna go with something like live compile. There we go. Okay, once it's done, I'm gonna go ahead and run the code. Oh, nice, nice. There we go. Okay, guys, I need to decrease my sensitivity, but then everything else is pretty good. I can go ahead and move around. Yep, guys, I gotta decrease my sensitivity. Before I decrease my sensitivity, I'm gonna go ahead and change the. I'm gonna go ahead and change something for my input mapping. When I move my mouse forward is when I look down. So I'm gonna go here. Let's go to project settings. I'm gonna go to something like inputs. There we go. Okay, now I wanna add a part where only when I click my right button from my mouse is when my enhanced input is actually enabled. So I'm gonna go here. Excuse me, guys. It's depicted. Is that how I pronounce it? What does this mean? So this is for my lookup. What if I check that? Okay, let's go ahead and try live compiling again. I'm gonna go with something like liver. Let's go with something like live compile. There we go. Let's go ahead and run the code real quick. Now, when I look up, I go downwards. When I look down, I go upwards. Gotta fix that. Enhance input. Firstly, I do want to decrease my speed, so my value is going to be multiplied by something like 0.4. Floating point ending with a semicolon. I'm going to go with something like multiplied by 0.4 floating point, which is basically 40% of my original sensitivity. That's it, controller, to save the code. Now here's the thing. For my pitch, I want to go with a negative value. What if I go with negative value? Okay, let's hit controller to save the code. Let's go ahead and open my Unreal Engine up here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and Control Alt F11. Still doesn't work. I'm going to go with something like live compile. Let's go with live and compile. Okay, once it's done compiling, I'm going to wait for it to compile. There we go. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and exit the code. I can look up, I can look down, I can look towards the left, I can look towards the right. The sensitivity isn't that high. Whoops. Whoop. Okay, I guess I just fell. I'm going to go ahead and point back to my human. Okay, this is perfect. Now, I want to go ahead and add another thing. Let's go with Gemini. Let's go ahead and get Gemini up here. Okay, let's say something like, let's say, it's fixed. Let's go with something like it's fixed, exclamation. Okay, that said, now, can we work on me only being able to turn my character, excuse me guys, using my mouse only while I have my right mouse button held down, if that makes any sense. And guys, if this actually works here, then I might have like a different content. I mean, of course, I'm gonna have something like different content next stream, which is not like programming. But then the stream after that, I might actually go with like a different context instead of enhanced inputs. The reason I like spent 5 streams learning enhanced input is because I wanted to master before I move on type stuff. Hey man, I would love to connect with you. I'm an AI automation engineer using mostly Python. That actually sounds kind of good, cool. Eventually, I do want to like work with AI engineering. You could like join my Discord server if you like type exclamation Discord. You can get access to the Discord servers as a link. That's why I usually talk to you guys and like chat with you guys in general. That's it. Yes, and say plums are head, blah blah blah. You want MMO style or strategy camera where the mouse is free to move until the screen with the right click. Okay, to do this we need a gatekeeper variable to tell look functions when it's okay to move the camera. Step 3, repair plan. The header change human.h, we need a way to track if the button is pressed at these two things. In my C++ file, under my protected data members, the action from the right mouse button, U property, okay, this is going to be under input. You input RMB action, right mouse button action, a boolean tag of state, B is RMP pressed equals to false. Functions, okay, let's go ahead and copy this. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this for the time being to actually check if it works. So in my C++ file, under my protected data members, okay, where's my protected at? Okay, I guess I gotta go ahead and set my own protected data member. Let's check. So it says something like Oh, in my header files, my bad guys. In my header files is protected data members. I'm assuming I gotta like paste it somewhere here. There we go. Okay, so it says protected. I mean, this entire thing is protected. I could go ahead and add a U property, boolean, and all that stuff. It's the same thing, honestly. Okay, U property, edit anywhere. I did this part, and then let's get Gemini back up here. Now, once I'm done with that, let me actually check if this is going good, because I thought my stream was lagging for a bit. Let me know if my stream lagged, guys. That's it. Next up for my C++ file. Now we write the logic. The want, turn, and look up functions to check that boolean before they do anything. The want, the turn, and look up functions to check that boolean. In the C++, add these things. Okay. Okay, implementation. So add these state changes, update the look function. Okay, I gotta do all that stuff. Okay, and then add this in your press/release function. Okay, I'm assuming this content goes inside my begin play right here. When my game actually begins, add RMB press. Okay, maybe I go ahead and hit Control C. There we go. Okay, I'm in that case, maybe under my tick, actually above my tick. There we go. Right here, I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. That is like a lot of code. I gotta check. So a void function. These are my void functions. And then update your turn void. If B is pressed, I go ahead and do that stuff. I'm gonna add a bunch of space up there, and like even like a bunch of space up here, and then add a comment that says something like gotta learn this part. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like divide this here. And let's go ahead and divide it from here as well. There we go. Just to say like I gotta like work on this part of the code. Might add a few more hyphens. There we go. Okay, perfect. This is like a new section that I gotta work on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get Sensei/ChatGPT back here again. This is the second part that checks if these buttons are pressed. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way down here. Let's go ahead and paste this. This checks if my button is pressed. Show it again. Is that it? Let me go up here. Get Sensei/Gemini here. Can't say something. Oh, it gave me a Sensei's Whisper. She leans in. You're moving into advanced control territory. Okay, wait, where's the picture, guys? I wanted to like see that. Maybe I go down. There we go. The gatekeeping logic. Logic gates and NAD XOR XNOR OR NOR NOT. Okay, so maybe I go ahead and Control S to save the code, Control S to save the code. Before I save the code, I want to just go ahead and add a hyphen here to just tell myself that this is the part that I gotta actually learn. Whoops. Let's go ahead and paste this. Okay, this is the part that I gotta actually work on. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this line. Let's paste it here. There. Okay, so this is the part that I gotta work on. But I'm gonna hit Control S for the time being. Open my Unreal Engine because I want to see if it works first. Because usually I do the mistake of just writing the code without checking if it works. That's let me go ahead and just drink some water real quick. Howdy Pixels, I appreciate you joining the stream. There we go. Let's go ahead and copy this and say that I got this error. Guys, this is the whole reason that I actually prefer writing the code. I actually copy pasting the code first. Let's see something makes sense. Say, I got this error. And guys, give me a sec. It is getting kind of hot here. I might actually open the windows from here. Hold on, guys. Let me just pull the blinders. Give me a sec, guys. This is going to be a little hard. Get this a bit higher. Okay, and then let's go ahead and just pull this off. There. Okay, needed some fresh air, guys. Okay, oops, Sensei jumps back and wavers her hand. We have code twins. The error function already has a body means you accidentally copy pasted the new code I gave you below your old code instead of replacing it. Cleanest version of your C++. Okay, apparently I copied this part. Okay, to make it super easy, here's exactly your bottom half of your CPP. Should look delete everything from it. So under my move functions, I gotta delete everything under my move function. So okay, so let's go with move function and then delete everything from here. There, and then I just go ahead and paste this. Okay, let's see if this part works. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Let's get my Unreal Engine up here again. Let's go ahead and live compile. Guys, I just realized it's getting kind of stuffy up here. Okay, let's wait for it to live compile. So it says result succeeded. Now, if I run the code, I can move my mouse, like I can walk, but the only time I cannot turn at all. Okay, I cannot rotate at all. Okay, let's go ahead and get sensei/Gemini up here. Let's go ahead and copy my Discord. Go with Control-A, Control-C, copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, let's copy my header files as well. Control-A, Control-C. Get Gemini up here. Let's go ahead and scroll down, paste this, go with Shift Enter and say something like Sensei. Okay, so I can run the code, but I cannot move myself. Okay, let's go with something like I cannot turn. Then I click my right mouse button. Okay, let's see what does that happen. Okay, the Sensei's checklist, the auto receive input, check if a character isn't reaching at all, go to level, click on human character in the details panel, search for auto possess player, make sure it's set to 0, the RMB action assist, digital versus axis, open your IA_RMB. Let me say something like I did not create a IA_RMB. Okay, task step 3, create action asset, right click, IA_RMB, open it, look value type, change it to digital boolean, save and close, register mapping context, select our IA_RMB, drop down, click on the keyboard icon and press right mouse button. There we go, this is the part, this is the part that actually makes sense. Let's go to my input, I'm gonna right click, let's go ahead and create an action input. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and call this something like action input R_RMB, which is right mouse button. I'm going to double click this. It's digital boolean, that is correct. Then I'm going to go with IA default. I'm going to go ahead and click plus. This is going to be for my IA_RMB. Let's go ahead and add something of my right mouse button here. RMB. Okay, perfect. Now let me go ahead and go with something like live compile. I'm going to go all the way down here. Hit compile. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. There we go. Let's go ahead and run the code real quick. Okay, still compiling, guys. My bad. Okay, live coding successful. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now, I can move forward. I can move backward. I can move towards the left and right. Moment of truth. I cannot turn using my mouse buttons. Okay, why is that? Oh, I know. I gotta go with my input here. Let's go to my input. Okay, I gotta set my RMB to something like IA_RMB. Let's go ahead and live compile one more time. This should work. Okay, guys, I'm positive this is gonna work now. There we go, results succeeded. Live coding, patch creation. Let's go ahead and run the code. I can turn. If I move around, I can move the only time I look up. Did I fall? Oh, guys, that was kind of close. I gotta fix a thing real quick. My value is gonna be a negative for my look up. I'm gonna go with something like negative. Okay, because when I usually go upwards, I look downwards, if that makes any sense. Let's go out of here up here. Let's go ahead and live compile stuff. And then later on, I will be like learning all the coding and all that stuff. I just wanted to see if it works. This is just like for a test run, guys. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now, I can look up, I can look down, I can look left, right. That is only when I be moving. Perfect. Guys, this feels kind of good, actually. Okay. This is pretty nice. That said, I'm going to go ahead and exit this. Speaking of which, I do want to actually check my posts to like see what am I going to be working on like next stream, because next stream is like a Tuesday's stream where I actually whatchamacallit, guys, I have a stream that is not like really coding. Let's go out of it up here. And guys, if you guys haven't yet, I did like add a poster where like I say you guys to pick what you want me to like stream the next day, where there's like 52% of you guys said me to go with Blender. I might actually do that. That's it. Let's get Gemini here and say something like Sensei. It works! Exclamation. Okay, I will be working on the code now. Okay, it's time I actually work on the code. Before that, I might actually hydrate my lips real quick. There we go. Okay, let's go all the way up here. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and read the code and try understanding it. I know what it means. It feels like it's kind of easy, honestly. So, in my header files is perfect. I have my few classes that I declared here, and then my bunch of U properties. That's correct. I had to create another U property. I wouldn't even need this thing here. Let's go ahead and remove this. There, let's go with Control C, go in a new line. There we go. Okay, so the action for the right mouse button. This is the place that I gotta learn. Let's see, let's go ahead and just remove that. Now, action for the right mouse button, I create a U property. I create a U input action. I'm assuming the U input actions could like go above this, like somewhere right there. Okay, and then I go ahead and create a boolean value of B is RMB pressed. It's set to false because I haven't pressed it yet. Two white functions pressed and released. That was easy. If I were to scroll down here, I have a RMB logic. Okay, after my move function, void a human press RMB pressed if my RMB pressed is equal to true. Okay, it's initially equal to true. I do this. So a player PC cast a player get controller PC B show mouse cursor false. RMB released. My RMB is going to be false if this happens. And then a turn function and a lookup function. I see. Okay, and then let's see. So bind action, enhanced input component. I could have just gone with ECI. I wrote an okay. Okay, you know what? I think a short form is actually pretty useful. ECI is pretty good. Bind action, legacy binds. Okay, it's actually kind of correct. That said, what if I wanted to add jump as well? I want to work on a quick little jump logic. Let me see something like say. Just curious. What if I wanted to add a jump? How to do that? I mean, I do know how to add jump. I worked on that like a long time ago, like gravity and jump and all that stuff. But I want to do it again. Okay, we declare this action. Okay, so U property edit anywhere, blueprint read only. This is going to be jump action implementation. Here's the best part. You don't need to write a whole jump function. The parent a character already has it. Also, I already have a jump function. In my binds, I just got to go ahead and add these two bindings. So jump action, okay, that I created here with my U property. E trigger started this character jump. Bind action, E trigger, event completed. Okay, I'm going to go with something like this, stop jumping. I want to copy this for the time being to actually see if it works before I actually like write it off. So I'm going to go here. Let's go ahead and paste this here real quick. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and ask Sensei/ChatGPT, what is the E trigger for? Like, I've used it, but I actually don't know what does it stand for. Let's go up here. Let's paste this in my header files real quick. I'm just pasting it here quick to like see if it works type stuff. Let's go all the way down here. I'm going to go ahead and paste this. There. Maybe actually I'll go with a bunch of control Z's. I want to paste it here. Let's hit Control S to save the code. Control S to save the code. And then I'm going to go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. Let's go with something like live compile. Okay, I want to see if it works. Because I will mostly be working on this part off stream type stuff. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. Results succeeded. Let's go ahead and run the code. I want to jump when I click my spacebar. Oh, I did not like add a legacy mapping for my spacebar. So I'm going to go to something like IMC defaults. Let's go with something like plus. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create inside my input something like a action input. Let's go with something like a action input. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this something like IA underscore jump. I'm going to jump. I'm going to go ahead and double click this. Let's set this to something like a 2D vector. I'm going to go here. I'm going to set this to something like IA jump. Let's add a mouse button for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click something like plus. This is going to be spacebar. When I click spacebar, this is going to be executed. Okay. Now that is my jump action. My IA jump trigger. Okay, what was my jump action up here? Let's see. So edit anywhere. It's U input action jump action. Okay, I think I see. So I'm gonna go ahead and open my Unreal Engine. In my Unreal Engine, I'm gonna type something like inputs and add a input for my IA underscore jump. Now let's go ahead and compile my code again. So I'm gonna go with something like live compile. Let's go down, compile the code. Let's wait for it to compile real quick. There we go, it succeeded. Let's go ahead and run the code. Now, every time I click space, I jump, there's gravity as well. There we go. I mean, the jump does feel kind of sloppy, but I won't say it's bad. Okay, that's actually kind of good. So every time I press it, there. Okay, let's go ahead and escape. I'm going to be working on this part off stream, so let's get sensei/Gemini up here, because I do gotta like write the code like a bunch of times. That's gonna be like repetitive if I do it like on stream. Let me see something like sensei. I see ... I will be working on this code off stream now. So let's go with something like, so I might end the stream. That said, before I do end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, listen up everyone, you just witnessed a true development making today, and it wasn't always easy. We fought the red underline monster, wrestled with the axes that didn't want to move, and even performed a little C++ recovery surgery after a crash. Okay, but Apprentice never backed down. How doing Dilly? How doing Dally? Is that how you pronounce it? I appreciate you joining the stream. I appreciate you joining the stream, Pixels, as well. Guys, I think I phrased that part wrong. That's it. Programming isn't about getting it right the first time. It's about having the heart to fix when it goes wrong. Today we gave this character a soul, a way to see the world, and a professional grade control system. The viewers, thank you for supporting our journey. Every great game you ever played started exactly like this, with someone trying to code but refusing to quit. You're watching the birth of a creator. Guys, I feel like this is the exact same a outro like text that Gemini gave me like last stream / yesterday as well. Okay, turns expression, go rest. Guys, this is the exact same thing that she said yesterday. Okay, that's it. Let me go ahead and go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. That's it. If you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like helps my algorithm, sharing makes you smile, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. That's it guys. I just start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description, and also join the Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys in general. You guys can get access to my Discord server by typing !Discord in chat, and you guys can get access to my socials by typing !Socials in chat. That's it. I'll catch you guys next time for more video. Peace. Okay, let's go ahead and end the stream.